Okay, folks, we are in a serious time, and we need to have serious discussions. Okay. This is we're now rolling up on September 23rd, and we know that the Revelation 12 woman has been identified. I mean, you really can't make it up, okay? 9 months in the womb, 9 months, protecting the kingship. Woman with the sun and the moon, 12-star crown. You can't make it up. The Virgo constellation, being the only the woman constellation in all the astrological signs. It's interesting that the third generation of True Father's lineage that did not betray him equals 12. I have 5 children. Kukjung has 7 children that are on this earth, and so that all, again, leads to 12. And by Mrs. Kang being the woman who is protecting the kingship, she's also protecting Father's third generation and future generations as well, by being what the title Father gave her, the mother of the Unification Church, the mother of the faith. So we are in that period where that sign is now happening in heaven. In the skies, that will be happening 9/23. So that's a very historic day. We have a very important ceremony on that date, okay? And we're going to all gather here together as well with our international delegation, etc. But it's amazing because Mrs. Kang's birthday also in Korean lunar date is 8/20. What is it, 8/22, is that right, Tim? 8/20? 8/20th. So 20th of August. So when you go back to 1927 and you look at that, it does not come down to October 1st, which was on our passport. And that's the date I had up there 2 weeks ago. That was our passport date. We later found out after that sermon that the actual date of her birthday in the solar calendar, which is the tropical astrological calendar, okay? That's the Roman calendar, by the way, okay, that they use. It's just called formally the tropical astrological calendar. And her birthday is 9/15, not October 1st. October 1st is her passport. That's the one she legally put down on her passport, whenever she did it. But her actual birthday is 9/15, which makes her fall exactly in the Virgo. She is a Virgo. She is the Virgo. And I asked Father for a sign, as we were praying this for maybe 3-4 months now. And doing special conditions of prayer for this, for Mrs. Kang. But I asked Father for a clear sign, and Father said, ask her birthday. And then her birthday happened to fall exactly down as the Virgo. Now, she could have been Aquarius, Sagittarius, Libra, blah, 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 whatever. What is the other? What are they? It was Cancer, whatever. But, boom, she hit right there. Right there. And how could we have known? We didn't even know about Revelation 12 and the signs and wonders and all that. Well, we knew the sign and wonder coming. But we didn't know all the details 9 months earlier when she came. She came exactly like 9 months ago at the palace. You understand? And she is protecting, she's doing what the Han Mother should have done, which is protect the kingship of God. Okay? Also, her name means woman who uplifts the lamb. That's what Kang means, okay? It's a Chinese character for lamb on top and a woman's on the bottom. So it actually means the woman who is uplifting the lamb. Okay? And, of course, everybody knows I am in the year of the lamb. And obviously everybody knows that it is through Father, myself, and Shinjun that the successorship continues on. Okay? So all those kind of things coming together, you can't make it up. You can't set up the timing. You can't do all this. It's just the hand of God just working all together in all this chaos. putting it together, and then now we stand on the precipice of looking down 9/23. Okay, September 23rd. We're now on the precipice of that cosmic event. Remember, this cosmic event has not happened. Some people say 7,000 years. Some people say never. This pattern has never existed in human history. Okay, but whether or not it's 7,000 or more, the point is 2,000 years ago on the Isle of Patmos, 2,000 years ago, under the Roman Empire, John the Revelator was seeing this. Remember this? He was seeing this. Remember that? He saw all of it. He saw the woman in the sky. He saw her with birth pangs. He saw her with the sun and the moon at her feet. He saw her with the 12-crown star. He saw her with the flying on the wings of the eagle to go and where? To the wilderness for a place prepared to her by God.
Amen.
He saw a place. This is John. Okay, Revelator way back then. He saw a place where the child that would be born. What did it say? Carries a rod of iron. And you all saw the rod of iron, right? When John the Revelator said, he didn't say a spear. He didn't say some kind of curvy blade. He said it's a rod, and he's carrying a rod of iron. That's how they'll rule over the kingdoms of the earth. And the inheritors with the King of Kings bloodline and kingship will also rule with rods of iron. So when John saw that, of course he doesn't know what it is. He just saw some people holding these rods. It was great power. Obviously we know what that is now. We know what that is. We know what it is. It is the kingship and the kingdom of God where the citizens become the kings and stand up against unrighteousness, and they have the rod of iron that shoots fire from its mouth. So predators will be submitted. So all this is happening September 23rd. That's coming. And we move now today to Revelation 13. And let's go through it, the whole thing. And then let's get into some of the stuff. And let's get into some very uncomfortable discussions today, because we have to do it. Okay? We've been procrastinating, and we have to get into it. All right, so let's go to Revelation 13. All right, let's start in verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as feet of a bear, and his mouth as a mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Continued. Verse 10, He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exercised all power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he make fire come down from the heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he hath power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save that he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Okay, that's where the number 666 comes from. Now, we are in a serious time. Serious time. This is the top headlines for today. Okay, and this is right now, North Korea has just popped a hydrogen bomb in Korea successfully. In the north, that is an atomic, that's what is it, 10 times stronger than the atomic bomb? Yes. 10 times more powerful than the atomic bomb. 10 times more powerful than their last attempt, okay? 5 times more powerful than the atomic bomb, all right? The ICBM, of course, last week they shot over the nation of Japan. And we had our guest on Thursday, or one of the days, what was one of Thursday, Friday? We had one of the brothers and sisters from Sanctuary reporting to us from Hokkaido, all right, about the scenario, the drills that they had to go through, all those kind of insane things that was happening on the ground. Now, remember, for Japanese people, they've been thinking, nothing's going to happen, for 60 plus years. And you got the brain-dead young people who have no idea what's going on. They're so drugged out and public school educated, indoctrinated. They just think the most serious thing in the world right now is Katy Perry's hairdo or some stupid thing like that. They don't know what the heck is going on. Okay? But the fact of the matter is, what they had? They had a mid-range ICBM that is a missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead that flew over Japan, not only in the islands and the oceans in front of it, that he shot it over them. You understand? He shot it over them. What does that mean? I can blow you up. That's what he's saying, right? And of course, that is a mid-range ICBM which carries, when it's weaponized, a ballistic nuclear missile. Okay? And of course, right now, that was last week. And then, of course, we see more escalation. This is now the 6th nuclear test that North Korea has been doing. And now they have succeeded in nuclear technology, okay? And we heard all the time from all the analysts, oh, they're behind what we thought, they're not, they don't got it, they don't have it. Well, first of all, Hillary and Bill Clinton gave the technology to them in 1997. Obama was funding not only ISIS, but the Democratic and neocon parties from the Bush to Clinton, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, neocon party, same system, same funders. All right, same CIA group running them. Just little puppets, little changes, so the people are stupid, so they think, okay, people won't recognize. They'll just think they're different parties, they're different people are in control. No, the same control. Same funders, same black ops group, CIA takeover group in control. Okay, and in that whole process, that's on public record, and I've shown you even the top. It's reported in the mainstream news. This was so amazing. So they say, no, we reported this to you. You just never saw it, right? So I showed you all the articles in the New York Times and the Washington Post and the New York Post, or all these other articles in the years past that showed, yes, we did give nuclear technology to China in '97. Yes, we did fund ISIS and what they call the moderate Syrian rebels, who are not moderate, and they are now a part of ISIS. Okay? And I showed you those articles. Those are in your face, because Satan has to say, no, I told you about this. No, I told you about this. Stop saying you didn't hear it. You just didn't read it. Okay? But now we are in a situation where there is now confirmed North Korea has the capability way beyond what the U.S. was saying. And of course, probably most of the people in the intelligence community knew that, but of course they keep telling the public, no, nothing, keep paying your taxes, keep sending your funds, etc., all this kind of thing. Okay? So, in a televised statement, North Korea described the underground explosion, which triggered a large earthquake, as a perfect success in the test of a hydrogen bomb for ICBM. This is, okay, right here. Pyongyang said the credibility of the operation of the nuclear warhead is fully guaranteed. The test just came hours after leader Kim Jong-un showed off what he described as a hydrogen bomb capable of being mounted on an intercontinental ballistic missile. The explosion at the nuclear test site at Pyongyang, North Korea's mountainous northeast mountainous region triggered an initial magnitude of 6.3 earthquake, followed by magnitude 4.1 tremor that was possibly caused by structural collapse, says the U.S. Geological Survey. The latest nuclear test was estimated to have a yield of as high as 100 kilotons, about 10 times the power of the North's previous test, and roughly 5 times out of the atomic bomb that the U.S. dropped on Nagasaki, Japan in 1945. South Korea's National Security Advisor, Mr. Chung, said after a 90-minute emergency meeting of the National Security Council that Seoul would consider the possible deployment of what he described as the most powerful strategic assets that the U.S. possesses, without elaborating, according to a statement from the presidential Blue House. The phrase strategic assets typically refers to stealth bombers, aircraft carriers, or possible nuclear weapons. The U.S. withdrew the last of its nuclear weapons from South Korea in 1991. Mr. Chung, who also spoke by phone with Lieutenant General McMaster, who is a traitor and who is now reporting to George Soros, that's confirmed by Israeli intelligence, and he's the one trying to box in President Trump, Cernovich saying that Trump is under house arrest by his governor, his generals. And these are McMaster, Kelly, and Mattis, who independently may be okay. Kelly and Mattis may be better. But when this guy starts colluding with them, and they've been 40 years friendship and all this kind of thing, say, hey, we got to protect the president, all this kind of thing. And now they're trying to block the president, trying to isolate him away from his voter base, away from people who are awake, away from the real media who's reporting true news to him and trying to get real information to the president. Okay? That's a serious problem. His counterpart at the White House and said that Moon Jae-in, the South Korean president, had called for the strongest punitive measures against Pyongyang. That includes diplomatic measures and a new United Nations Security Council resolution to completely isolate North Korea. Okay. So you see the different national powers, and isn't it interesting that this is all centered around Korea? Korea is on the world stage. Of course, in a failed way, and now in a way that is completely chaotic and on the verge of nuclear collapse. And if the Han Mother did not send the curse to all of the world, starting from Asia, obviously, first, because that's where Father wanted to begin Chun-Ilguk culture and begin the Able UN and begin the strategic placement of democratic nations and alliance that would eliminate tyrants from its ranks, unlike the UN, which has all these tyrants in its UN Council. How can you have China as the head of the UN Security Council? Give me a break. They can get away with every single type of human rights violation. Can you take down? Human rights violation, and the UN doesn't do shmita on them. Does absolutely nothing. And that's why Father called the UN a satanic UN, because it protects Satanists, and it protects the big power brokers, and it protects these tyrannical, authoritarian nations. All right? The able UN would not do that. It would not protect that. It would probably exclude, it would not allow dictatorship nations to be even in the UN. Okay? Do you see that? How different that would be? And of course, it would be moving for the opposite, right? The UN, the regular satanic UN, is always pushing for what? Disarmament, disarmament, disarmament. That's all you hear. That's all you'll hear. Disarmament. We have to disarm everybody, disarm everybody, disarm. Disarmament, disarmament, disarmament is the way. We're going to look at how successful their disarmament has been. Okay? They're bragging, oh, we've disarmed 1/3 of the nuclear warheads in the world. Oops, slight problem. There's a little problem there. They can be turned back on. Ooh, that's really not disarming, wouldn't you say? If they can be turned on in an instant and then you got them back right at the skyrocket level again, that's not really a great job, is it? And of course, the disarmament is done on nations which have been more sovereignty-based. Not the tyrannical nations. They've been going after gun-ho. They've been given it by our stupid presidents, like Bill Clinton and the CIA, Black Ops, governments that have been giving them the damn missiles. It's ridiculous. Anyways, this is a massive, massive situation now happening in Asia. All right, so before we get into the video, which we have talked about, The threat of nuclear war has always been there since the 1945s, okay? So it's always been there, but just people have been so brain dead to its reality, and of course not wanting to believe that it's coming because it's so terrifying, so terrible. Okay. It's been so horrible and horrific, and they've seen the tests, and they've seen the videos from the hydrogen bombs, all that kind of thing. So everybody knows how devastating it is. Okay, and so obviously nobody wants to think about it. Okay, nobody wants to think about nuclear holocaust because it's better not to think about it. You just feel better about your day. Okay. You just feel better about your coffee, you feel better about your day, you'll feel better about your children a little bit, you know, as long as you don't think about nuclear attack or nuclear war. The minute you have to think about nuclear war, then you have to start framing your existence and all of people's existence in a different way. You're in a seriously different world then. Now, we've had tremendous blessing for the last, 60, 70 years. When the Lord's second advent on the earth, he was blocking those things, and of course, stopping, of course, North Korea from being even more insane than this, because they were way more insane. They could get way more insane than even Kim Jong-un. But obviously, everybody knows True Father played a critical role in staving them off and making them, docile. Okay. Now, if the Han Mother did not betray Father and, turn her back and reject the three kingship, etc. If she did not do that, then the work that we were doing in Korea would have been pressed forward now almost 5 years, but before that it was starting and we were making the inroads in for 5 years before that, so it's 10 years going on. And the message that we were giving to the South Korean government, and we were working at the highest levels of government, okay, Gukjeong Strong Korea initiatives. We had the vice deputy of the nation of Korea for the Defense Department at the events. He came to our church events as well. We had 60 stars of all the generals that were sitting at the events. He was being invited to the top military schools to give lectures about the reality of the threat of China, the underpreparedness of South Korea. And of course, we had a very clear strategic plan for Korea to move towards sovereignty. What was that? They're now in a military system where they don't train their men. Everybody's supposed to go to the army, but they don't train in actual military tactics or anything like that. It's more of a brainwashing camp. So they go into the military and they're taught for 2.5 years, you just have to obey the hierarchy, just worship the hierarchy. And you try to screw around, you're going to be just killed, okay? That's what the Korean men really learn. They shoot maybe around 200 rounds per year. We shoot that in a day, in an hour here. In an hour. 1 hour here, we'll be shooting 200 rounds easy. They shoot about 200 rounds a year. A year. Most of the time for Korean military men is guarding little bases. And they're just standing there smoking cigarettes all day. Guarding bases. That's all they're doing. And just taking orders. Learning that the hierarchy, the centralized government is your God. You have to obey this God. And if you don't, you screw around with it, we'll make your life miserable. We'll put you in prison. That's basically the training there, okay? So it's not really military training, it's an indoctrination training. That's what you get, of course, with centralized governments and archangelic powers. Okay? So what was a clear strategic guidance that we were giving to the Korean nation? Have your military men go to our service? Fine, that's fine. When they go to service, they do their training. When they come back home, you, the government, you should allow them to bring their weapons back to their home, like the Switzerland model, like the Israeli model. Okay? So you have a scenario where Israel is surrounded by hostile nuclear powers like Iran, etc., you name it, right? All the Middle Eastern nations trying to kill Israel. But they have everybody who's trained, even the girls have to go there, military. Everybody gets the military training, but then they also are able to get the guns. So in 1 hour, the whole nation becomes an army. In 1 hour. So there's an attack, boom, that thing's a military. Boom, already they're moving with their tank squads or whatever squads they got, okay? And that's why no nation around them, even though they're powerful in their nuclear capabilities, they don't want to mess with Israel. Because it's so powerful. It's a deterrent towards predators, okay? And also the same in Switzerland. Hitler decimated Europe. He took up all the nations of Europe. But there was one nation he didn't touch. What's that nation he didn't touch? Now, Switzerland was not touched. Switzerland wasn't touched because Hitler did the estimates. He said, if we go into Switzerland, what's it? It's going to be 1 million casualties. Is that what he said? Here, we're going to send in, no, he said, Kuk Chung told me this before. What was it? It was 1 million men we're going to send in. And then the Swiss guy said, okay, we'll go to the mountains, shoot twice, and then come back home. We got 500,000 military-age men ready to train, ready to go. So you come with 1 million men, we'll just climb up those mountains. We know those mountains. We'll shoot twice, boom, boom, and we'll come back home and then drink coffee. And then yodel. All right? And Hitler didn't touch it. He didn't touch it because there's great danger going on there, and they didn't mess with it. He didn't touch it. So that's the only country, Hitler didn't touch that country. It's right smack there, right in the middle. He didn't touch it. He didn't touch that country because it would be such a devastating casualty to him. Okay? Now, if South Korea did that and listened to the direct guidance of Cain and Abel that we're giving to the top levels of government, top levels of the elite. And of course, as you know, spiritually, we were trying to divide the elite between Abel type, Cain type. Okay, because in order to get Abel type revolution, you have to split the elite, and the good elites have to help create the foundation and have the funds, all that kind of stuff, to support an actual battle, basically, that happens within their class ranks. Okay? Just like Donald Trump. He's from the elite, but because he's standing and all the people support him, boom, he can make this huge inroad against this deep state, right? You see? The same thing with Korea that had to be done, split. Okay, because it's highly centralized. And then you would get the firearms that they train with in the military that would be one step closer to the civilians. And then the civilians, the dad would train the mom how to use it when the dad is out or something and some bad guy tries to come in. Then it would be seen more as a self-defense tool. Even as that culture will start shifting, they'll start seeing, oh, not only as a military weapon, but also a self-defense tool. Right? And at the same time, he's going to train his kids, so his kids are going to learn about how to defend and have a proper amygdala function and think about self-defense. And, oh, if mommy and daddy are not here and there's a bad guy trying to break in, you have to go there, and you guys are trained. You're 14 years old now, so you got to go get the gun, and then you have to, put that assailant out. Okay? So then what happens? What happens to the mafias in Korea? What happens to all the gangs? What happens to all the bad predators? Are they going to think twice about breaking into grandma's home?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you see that? Now they're going to think twice about breaking into grandma's home or even a single mom's home or somebody else's home, okay? They're not going to have the leverage of power that they once had. Does that make sense? And when the firearms would be brought down that way, then it would bring a whole new culture. It could start connecting with father sovereignty culture and the hunting farm, the hog hunting farm he was making down in Yosu, or the fishing farm, all those self-reliance arts, all the aquaponics and all this stuff, self-reliance things, they would just naturally connect because that whole culture of being into self-defense and understanding how to defend yourself and empower your kids to defend themselves, that's all connected to self-reliance. And not being a slave to a system, not being a slave to some archangels promising you they'll do it for you. You see what I'm saying? It changes the culture. It brings the rod of iron into the hands of the people. Although it's not perfect and not Chaniguk yet, right? At least it would be moving in that direction. And it would be showing a huge example in Asia, which could then stimulate what? North Korea would have to see South Korea totally differently. Right now, it looks at South Korea, and it's completely disarmed. You understand? I mean, they're walking around as one of the most, wired nations in the world. They got all the fancy new clothes on, driving Mercedes-Benzes around. And North Korea is saying, they have no way to defend themselves. They're completely sitting on like a pile of gold, or let's say a pile of filet mignon that's freshly cooked. It's all ready to eat. And the wolves are around that borderline looking at it and say, ooh, I smell something. The hyenas say, ooh, I smell something. You smell that meat over here? Look what we got back here. We got nothing but bones, elephant graveyards back here. Look it down there. Ooh, a mountain of filet mignon. Then you got all these stupid, dumb South Koreans that are totally brain dead, doesn't know what world planet they're living on. Thinking everything's good, hunky-dory, everything is fine, everything is cozy, everything is Paris baguette and croissant. And they just walking around, having their little time, really a little internet, ghettos and on their internet worlds and digital stupid Korean dramas. Just going out and having a little, oh, let's go to the coffee house. Oh, yeah. They have no idea what danger they are in. Absolutely no idea. And they're sitting on a mountain of filet mignon, which the wolves want to eat. That's not a good situation. That's a really bad situation, okay? But if South Korea listened to the direction of Father, supported the sovereignty that he was building with the Yosu and the boating and the hunting grounds and all those things that were connected with self-reliance and connected with sovereignty, connected with men learning how to do self-reliance activities again, and women also being brought into this culture too, become stronger, and children learning this culture again, then you would have, within 5-10 years, you would have a massive change in the environment. Japan too could have prepared earlier for this and not talking now, but hey, we may need nuclear capabilities now, because right now they're shooting ICBMs over our heads and we have no preparation. Who saw the King's Report with the brother from Hokkaido? I asked him, how are the people in Japan prepared? Are you prepared? I mean, is there even a culture of preparedness? Are there preppers in Japan? And he said, no. Complete reliance on the government that has proven to lie to you, proven to every single thing they say, they do it 1 million times worse. And yet the dumb people believe them. It's such a sad state of affairs, and it's really the Stockholm Syndrome. They've just been so brainwashed from a young age in the public schools to be taught to love the government, believe the officials, they'll take care of you. Believe the politicians, they'll take care of you. And so the brother in Hokkaido, I recommended that, maybe they should start a YouTube channel where they're starting to talk about preparedness. Just talk about it. Just start talking about it on YouTube. Just start a dialogue about it. Hey, in America, there's this thing called preppers, or there's like a big movement of millions of people who are into preparedness. And, let's say best case scenario, nothing happens. Well, you can still eat your prepared food. You didn't lose anything. You still got tons of food to eat. And you can see it's not only terrorist attacks or nuclear attacks. It's also natural disaster. You saw Hurricane Harvey. We had Bob Exler. We see Bob Exler on the show. Bob Exler was there. Explained to us what was happening in Houston. Because Houstonians heard 3-4 days before, there's going to be like 130 inches of rain. But they were told by their Democratic mayor, stay. It's ridiculous. Don't move. Just stay in your home and just die. Because we're liberal and we're trendy, so just die, okay? They told them to stay in their homes. And the people listened to these fools. And now what, 30 plus dead, now bodies are being found everywhere. So, the state of the matter is that there is a big prepping community in America, because America, why? Why we have such a strong prepping community in America? Because we still have guns. The nature of the gun and that kind of power forces you to deal with proper amygdala growth. You have to be aware that there are threats to your life, otherwise you wouldn't be training with the gun. You have to be aware there are threats to your life and your family's life, and you are preparing yourself, not relying on some politician or some government official promising you they'll take care of you, and they're always 45 minutes late. It's about you taking that dominion, you taking that responsibility and doing it. You see what I'm saying? It's so different. That gun culture is so important. That rod of iron culture. It makes you have to deal with threat, have to deal with potential threat, have to deal with the reality of danger. But not in a way that you're so paranoid, but you're realistic and you're as prepared as you can be. You see what I mean? It's a different mindset, civilization. It's proper situational awareness. You're aware of the situation of the world, that there is instability, there are disasters, there are bad people, etc., right? It's not like you're in a liberal lunatic cult where you don't believe there's bad people. You know, oh, just happy thoughts, happy thoughts. Happy thoughts, happy thoughts. Right? Christians getting beat up by Antifa. No, that's not happy thoughts, happy thoughts, happy thoughts. Ooh, yoga. Where's my tea? Where's my yoga mat? This kind of stupid thing. That's delusional. Okay? So the reality of this, the reason why America has such a strong prepping community and a survival-based community, because we still have guns. We still have the rod of iron. We still have tremendous power a normal citizen has compared to the rest of the world, which don't have that power. Okay? And just automatically believe what the higher powers say. Automatically believe what the archangel says. Automatically believe what the centralized government says. Okay? They're trained, and that's the only way. But in Japan, okay, you don't have the culture, but you could bring that sovereignty culture by talking about it on a YouTube video. Just, start a YouTube video, just talking about it. And then other people in Japan who are worried about the situation can start talking to you. And then you can start sharing, well, in America, I heard they do this or this. And of course, you would do it in the best confines of the laws that you have there. But you would have something rather than nothing. And you would start a community and a dialogue just by talking about it on the internet, releasing it into the atmosphere. You would start connecting with people that are seriously also worried about it too, because there are people that are worried about it in Japan too. Okay? But that wouldn't just start from Hokkaido. That would have happened 10 years ago. At least 5 years ago, it would have started happening. We could have started bringing this kind of stuff out right around when Father was ascending. And this type of culture. Yeah, at least even just talking about it publicly. That would just start forcing the dialogue, forcing people to reevaluate their reality, okay? East Asia would be a radically different place if South Korea became strong, if Japan became strong, and now their people started inheriting and adopting the sovereignty-based mentality, not trusting and relying only on the centralized powers. And of course, they would be on the trajectory of a way which they can understand the kingdom better, and they can understand Cheongguk and the Constitution better. Whereas now, what has happened? They've now imploded into the most socialist president they've ever got, commie president with some of the most radical leftists ever in Korean history, put up in different departments, head of departments, etc. I mean, you're talking about a radical socialist government now. All right? And it was exactly what we told Aunt Mother would happen, because if she does what she did and betray Father and tries to destroy him, she will destroy herself. And the curse will come. And now you got IC bombs flying over Japan. You got H-bombs going off now. And you got escalation. And by the way, just to top it off with a little cherry for y'all, you got worldwide economic collapse coming soon to a theater in the EU. Congratulations, everybody. So you just have mounting problems, okay? Father is very clear. He said, Han Mother will decide. The kingdom will come because of the victorious Abel and Cain and Abel, and it's through the vertical transfer of sovereignty and lineage that, of course, the kingdom of God will be held on vertically. And she could choose either path of blessing or path of destruction, path of judgment. Either way, the kingdom would come, just one's going to be a lot more painful. A lot more painful. And as we ramp up into the month where the Revelation 12 is coming real, we now see more escalation, more escalation. It's not getting better. Of course, it would be great if it get better, but it's not getting better. Okay? So, there is a potential, there has been a potential for a nuclear attack and also warfare since 1945. So let's keep it in context. There's always been a threat. But the Messiah was here, and the Lord Saint Admiral was here, and he was working on the international stage to stop those kind of attacks. And he was the only key player, whether it be in North Korea trying to fend off Kim Jong-il and that whole Kim regime, trying to do exactly what they're doing now, or whether it was sending 3,000 young people to Russia to train Russian people to fight against communism, which eventually led to the end of the Cold War from inside out. Of course, Gorbachev even coming to greet Reverend Father and then thanking him. Okay? So, okay, the threat has been there since 1945, but the threat has never been as great as it is now, at least in the modern era. At least the young people here never experienced this type of radical escalation and the type of danger that it can occur. Okay? Now, we have to also be realistic with what can happen, because you can't just be, if you don't know enough about it, you're just going to be filled with fear, and you're going to be paranoid, you're not going to know what the heck to do. If you understand actually how devastating, or what problems, or what the realities of a nuclear explosion are, then you have a better picture of what is really going to happen. Not what the movies show, not what CNN says, what the actual technology is. Okay? So then if you're preparing or you're just trying to get basic food supplies to try to get for your family or whatever, at least you have a better picture instead of going off of what a movie scene you've seen or thinking about some, nuclear movie. Is there a nuclear movie about a nuclear bomb? What is that? Day After, or some things like that, okay? What you get from Hollywood. The problem is when you talk, whenever, and I think I'm guilty of this myself, I did not want to, I personally have not done nuclear preparedness. I've always done wilderness preparedness, a different type of bug-in, bug-out scenario preparedness, that level. But then there's another level of nuclear preparedness, because things change when you have radioactive material flying around. It's not like wilderness survival. You can still use some of those skills. It's not like bug-in, bug-out scenarios, okay? It's going to be more bug-in scenarios, okay? And then there's other things you have to think about that happen in that kind of scenario. But even talking about this gets people's minds shutting down because it's so painful to even think about it. Like, you don't even want to think about it. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even prepare. I don't even know how to make a fire with twigs. I am not ready to think about nuclear holocaust. Well, too bad. Welcome to Sunday service today. I've been telling you to prepare for how many years now? All right, so if you didn't, that's your fault. This is also an upcoming reality, potential upcoming reality. Now, is it going to be reality like it is in South Korea, like it's very dangerous now? Super high red alert, DEFCON, 6th level, very high level danger alert. Is it as dangerous? No, of course not. We're in Northeast Pennsylvania, probably one of the safest places in the country, and Father's hand is here and sent the 3 kingdoms here, okay? All right, stop. Okay, all right, okay. So you're happy because you're here, but what about all those folks out there? What about all those sanctuarians that I got to talk to on a weekly basis, thousands that are out there? They're saying, you lucky Northeast Pennsylvania. But we're stuck in here. And, some of the kids trying to even come for these seminars, not seminars, the events coming up, upcoming events, September 7 and 23, they can't even get out of the country if they're a young, able-bodied man. They're not letting them out because they know they're trying to run away. All these young men's visas were denied in South Korea, even trying to come for these ceremonies. Denying them. Why? Because there's imminent danger. And these brain-dead South Koreans still talking about, oh, there's nothing going on. Yeah, it's always like this. It's always like this. Ha, ha, ha. Come on, let's go get some coffee, honey. Let's go. Let's go to Starbucks. They have no reality check. They don't know the devastation. Within 1 hour, 8 million people could be dead, vaporized. They don't know what kind of danger they're living in. That's how brain dead and brainwashed they've become. They're like living in a cult. They blame us for being a cult. They're in a damn cult. They're in the state is God cult. So you have this reality now. Now, here is obviously not going to be as dangerous, as you will see. Even if something hits New York, Chicago, what else? What are the biggest cities already? Washington. I'm sorry, how could you forget Washington, D.C.? Washington, D.C. Don't say it. No, I know some of you are saying that would be a blessing, but I'm just, don't say it. L.A., what is it, San Fran? Huh? No, Scranton's not a major city. That's not a major city. But who knows? Who knows what is on, right? Who knows what is on? I'm talking about some big cities, right? Maximum damage is if they're going to do something. Obviously, we know North Korea can't hit the U.S., but we don't know if they have capability to miniaturize the missile nuclear technology to hit with a nuclear bomb. So in order to actually hit or America to experience some kind of nuclear exchange, it's probably going to be if the world, if East Asia starts a world war, right? And then Russia and China are backing them or something like that, and then we have to fight against China and Russia. Then we have a more escalated threat, right? But we're in a different situation than in Korea. Okay? You guys are a lot more safe. Our brothers and sisters in Korea, they're on the life razor's edge right now. They're trembling if they understand what's going on. They got ICBMs flying over their head in Hokkaido, okay? You understand? That's a little different. Can you imagine we got ICBMs flying over Pennsylvania, okay? We're not even at that stage yet, but the point is, I'm not only speaking to you all here in this sanctuary, I'm speaking to the whole worldwide sanctuary about what kind of mentality we have to be dealing with. So, obviously, Northeast Pennsylvania is a place prepared by God. It was a critical area for Trump to become the president, the critical point. It was the one that made him president. Okay, it was a place where the Trump family and father's kingship became connected. Okay? It was a place where the world president was elected, even though the U.S. doesn't like to call their president the world president, that's what he is. Okay? So Pennsylvania, obviously, we know, is a providential area, and it is and of course, thank God, it is outside of the range and danger zones, major danger zones of the major metropolis areas that will likely be targeted for a hit. But again, I'm to give a context, we're not in the same situation where South Korea is now, or Japan is now. You get that, right? We're not in that same, we are much safer than they are now. They are in East Asia. They are on the razor's tip. They're in big trouble right now. Okay? So let's look at this video. That's a discussion, okay? It's meant to be discussion. It's not say, oh my gosh, everybody's gonna leave. Don't, sisters, don't leave. It's, oh my gosh, we're all gonna blow up, we're gonna go die, nuclear bomb die. Don't freak out like that, calm down. She's already telling her husband, we're gonna die. Listen to what I said. Don't just hear it with your emotion. Listen to what you said. You are safer here, obviously. All right? But in other parts of the world, they're not as safe as you. Okay? So even starting a discussion, which is not happening, it's almost censored and it's almost made illegal, at least culturally, you're not supposed to talk about it. This has to be broken. We have to be able to talk about these kind of things and not be silenced. Whether it be by a church, the ecclesiastical body, or whatever, or government body, these kind of things, or socially, by peer pressure, they should not be able to silence you. So when people are trying to silence you by talking about this stuff, you say, you're stupid. You're the one who's stupid. Now I know. When you come knock on the door, if there's a problem, I'm going to reject you. Find a different place. We have to be able to talk about these things and discuss and dialogue these things and after have community where we're talking about these things because then everybody's thinking in a different manner. Not, okay, Sunday, what's for lunch? Okay, what's for lunch? Okay, we're going to hang out a little bit and we're going to go on. We're going to have a nice day and we're going to go work on Monday. That's great. Okay, do that. But what about your preparing in different levels? These are things to get you thinking, not only here, not only talking to you here in Newfoundland, we have talking to whole brothers and sisters all worldwide, our 60 plus churches, sanctuaries around the world. 66 plus, what is 60, what is it, 70, what is it, over 70 now? Close to 80 countries, hundreds of sanctuaries now around the world. Okay, so, okay, yes, you're sitting in front of me, and you're the rare group that has driven a couple hours to get here, but there's other people that can't get here. They have to fly days to get here, okay? So I'm talking to them too. So they should be thinking about it too. Because Asia blowing up, if it does, in a problematic situation like that, that's closer to Europe, that's closer to Eastern Europe, that's closer to Africa, that's closer to, if they live in Taiwan, that's closer if you live in Japan, obviously, Philippines, we have a big community in Philippines, Thailand, you name it. Okay? So, we have to think about these kind of things as well, even though even this uncomfortable topic of nuclear war. I know you don't want to think about it. I know you'd rather not think about it. Too bad! We have to think about it. Go ahead, tech team, play the video. That's important. So why is the king talking about my prepping and preparedness? I have no dang choice. I have no choice. But I know there's fools that are thinking, oh, no, if it doesn't happen, we'll just go to palace. There's a capacity. I'm telling you this so you prepare and you don't become part of the desperate hordes that I have to shoot. You understand? Don't be a fool. I'm telling you this. You cannot expect other people to prepare for you. The reason why I'm telling you this in advance, and I've been telling you for 3 years, is because you have to do the responsibility. Stop expecting other people to do it for you. Every survival situation and location has a limit. If more people exceed that limit, you start putting at risk the lives of people who are in that place. So there's a limit to Bluestone, there's a limit to the palace, there's a limit to Cookchina's properties. Do you get it? There's a physical limit. And if there's 50 people out there raiding a place, we're going to have to be required to defend it. And we got tons of guns, you understand? You don't want to be on the opposite side of that. Just crazy. Crazy. Now, to keep this in perspective, let's turn those lights on. Go ahead, kids, turn on those lights. Now, to keep it in perspective again, we are in Pennsylvania. That's a lot safer than Korea right now. Korea is in a whole different situation. They can't acquire guns. But look, even though you can't get everything on that list, and that's a pretty good list. I mean, that's a pretty good starting point, I would say. A lot of the skills in the wilderness survival that the kids are training now and stuff like that, that helps you, and it crosses over into this. At least it gets you in thinking about defending your life of your family. You know what I mean? At least it gets you thinking, oh, hey, I really don't want my children to die and they're only 5 years old. Yeah, I don't want to be in a situation where I have, that there's a shutdown situation and then I have to tell my kids, we have nothing. And now we have to go to Richard Panzer's house, who has nothing. Am I right, Richard? Okay, no, I'm not. You keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. He has more. He may have more than we don't know. But you're supposed to be responsible. You're not supposed to just come to Sunday service and hear the king and write to Korea. Hurry up, there's a danger. And then go home and then have your frappuccino and then forget everything. You've had 3+ years to prepare. It's just that you have not. That's a problem. That's a problem. So, these kind of things are meant to stimulate. You have to stimulate. If you're being stimulated, being convicted by the Holy Spirit, you have to start thinking about these scenarios. You can't be brain dead in a liberal lunatic cult, neocon cult. This is a serious situation. Okay? Now, there's no guarantee that there's going to be a nuclear holocaust in East Asia, right? Korean kids, don't be writing to your parents, oh, there's going to be a bomb tomorrow. It's going to drop in. Get out now. Okay? Because again, you're not hearing the content. You see it's a scary topic, and it's a topic that the societal cult tells you never not to talk about. And if you talk about it, you're crazy. Even though the guy is shooting hydrogen bombs now underground and being successful with the largest nuclear tests now, even though there's ICBMs flying over Hokkaido, and we had even Hokkaido people on the King's Report, even though all that, just you can't talk about it. Well, you have to say, screw you to the wall. I'm going to talk about it because you have to, by talking about it and releasing it from this cultish don't talk mentality that the liberal lunatics and the controllers want you to have because they don't want you to be prepared, because when you're not prepared, then you'll listen to every command they give you. Go to the cities right now. New York City has just been hit. We call on all New Yorkers to go to New York City right now. You going to follow that? This is a federal emergency management system with an emergency warning to all citizens of New York. We are calling all citizens to the safest place is New York City right now. I can't believe there's this one Marine who made this ridiculous video about trying to urban survival, and there's a nuclear disaster or something like that, and he's telling people to go into the cities. He is a nutbag, and you should say you are brain dead in the head. That is a place you want to avoid. The city has the greatest risk because there's a lot of different groups and people that you cannot control. In the wilderness, a black bear is much safer than a human being who wants to get stuff from you. Way safer. A grizzly bear cougar is 100 times safer than a human being who has very high IQ compared to animals. And if they want to take something from you, they're going to find out many, many different ways to try to kill you or get you stuff. Bad reality, but true. That's the last place you want to go, especially if you're not in the city. Why are you going to? He has a video where he's got a whole video crew following him too. It's probably paid for by the federal government. It's like a film like Bear Grylls, a handsome young man, handsome Marine. I'm a Marine. Yeah, I've been at this. And he's got a whole camera crew following him. And if a scenario breaks down, you got to go back into the city. What? Who paid for this? Who paid for that video? I want to know the funder of that video. That is ridiculous. Talking about if you go, there's a nuclear disease, chemical attack, nuclear attack in a city. Are you crazy? Okay, you do that if you want to die. That is ridiculous. Anyways, the point is, yes, okay, the level of threat here is better than it is in Asia. Okay? But as you can see, we're in a situation where many things are called compounding. We are in a compounded situation. We don't only have a crazy man in North Korea doing the high H-bomb stuff, okay? We don't only have things like this deteriorating with Russia and America and China and America. We don't only have political instability in the Soviet Europe, where it's being run over by radical Islam. We don't only have those isolated things. They're not isolated. They're all together compounding on the world, plus we have top analysts like Jim Rogers, Peter Schiff, Harry Dent. I mean, these are the people that were predicting every single economic boom and bust. You understand? Every single one they predicted accurately. Ron Paul, every single economic boom and bust cycle, they have predicted accurately before it hit, and they're multimillionaires because of that. They predicted every cycle by looking at demographic statistics, etc. And every single one of them, unequivocally, there is an economic crash coming. We told you about that 3 years ago. So you implode all this political instability with George Soros funding all these radical groups trying to start America. You have all this instability in Middle East now with Iran pulling out their naval ships into the Pacific Ocean. And you have a crazy man in North Korea shooting up freaking ICBM missiles over nations now. Now testing an H-bomb. Plus, on top of that, you got radical Islam pouring over Europe. On top of that, you got economic crash coming. How many times do I have to tell you? Just wait. It's like, oh, okay, we're just waiting. Okay, what's the second king gonna say this week? Ooh, it's like a movie. Ooh, it's so fun. Wow, it's like wait. This is not a movie. This is a reality that you are in. And you could see, as soon as we started playing this video, you see how your mind worked? As soon as you see those boom, boom, the big nuclear mushrooms, oh my God, I don't want to think. You see how your mind wants to shut off, it wants to turn off. That's why this guy is brilliant. He has all these cute little cartoons, and all the young kids, as soon as they see like cartoons, they're like, woo, they get mesmerized in. If it's an old like video from the 70s with grainy, that's how brain dead young people are. They got to see something trendy and like look like animation. Ooh, then their mind turns on. It's ridiculous. They've been trained not to think about content and just be seeing the visuals and be captured by the visuals because they have a memory span less than a goldfish, less than 7 seconds a human being has now in the modern world. That's pathetic. That's all your video game and all your stupid TV gets you down to a memory of 7 seconds. That's how pathetic young people have become. That's why you don't transfer content, unless, of course, you're red-pilled or you're awake. Then you don't transfer content. You just watch images. That's all you're seeing. Your mind just gets stimulated the images. Don't be stupid. Hear content into your brain. That's why, for example, combat arts and fighting is very important because you have to transfer lots of information, lots of content into your brain and then actualize it fighting. It trains your brain to transfer a lot of information, a lot of content, and not just look at images. Okay? So this is a serious issue that is now on the horizon. Our president is talking about this. It is the greatest threat. Okay? Now, we had to keep this in context, okay? Because I don't want everybody freaking out and saying, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna die, honey, hurry up. Save me, do something, honey, do something." And rag on your husband all week. Do something. He said, I bought some extra batteries. Can't you see that? That's not enough. That's not a 20 on the list. Okay, you got to take it slow. All right, take it step by step. Don't freak out. Don't drive your man nuts. Don't drive your wife nuts, okay? Okay, better to take it. Hey, you're going to drink water anyways, right? Every time you go to the grocery shop, okay, you buy an extra gallon of water. So it's $1. It's $1. $1, you can get a gallon of water. Okay, every time you go to the grocery shop, just grab a gallon of water for an extra $1. Huh? Just grab a little can of soup for an extra $1.50. Or beans. You see? And then you're going to the supermarket, what, 2-3 times a week? Okay, so within a week, you got 3 gallons. Water that's sitting in your basement. Then in a month, you got 16 gallons of water sitting in your basement. Next month, you got, what is that? 32. There you go. 32. Next month, you got 64. I mean, what is that? No. That's a double of 32. It's 34. That's double that. Anyways, you get the picture. My mind's not mathematical right now, okay? And I got too many people watching me right now. I can't think of it. Give me my calculator. You see what I'm saying? You can do small things. You can get a headlamp. He said, flashlight, get a headlamp. A candling device, much better. You have 2 hands open and you got a headlamp. You got all the things you want. Try to sync up your equipment so that you have AAA or AA. Easy to acquire batteries. Easy to acquire, easy to trade if you have to. Right? I mean, simple common sense things like people don't even think about common sense things like this. This is how unaware people are of their lives, of how spoiled they are, of how they take everything for granted. Guess what? If things go bad, you're going to be responsible for your safety, your children's safety, or your own safety if you're alone. If the electric grid goes down, which North Korea is already threatening on, they make tons of threats, okay? But that's what they're also saying. We're going to attack America's grid, all this kind of thing. If something like that happens, now you're used to just calling somebody up. You're used to just turning on your radio and just saying, "Come on." What if you have no tank gas and you can't get to where your friend is? There's already a gas shortage supply which the media has already made in Houston. there already making a gas shortage supply by stirring people up into hysteria, saying there's no more gas, no more gas, no more gas. Everybody's buying gas, and now there's a gas shortage supply. You see that? That's a case where the media has created hysteria to create what it wanted, which is what it wanted, a gas supply shortage, so that it can say, you see the effects of global warming? Even though hurricanes are less frequent than 50 years ago. We actually have a drought compared to 50 years ago. We have to have more hurricanes worldwide, actually. Even though Al Gore promised you in his Truth documentary that by 2013, the icebergs would melt and Himalayas mountains would melt. And New Delhi and New York would be underwater 8 feet. These are known liars, you understand? These are people that want to create a global government. Why? Because they can get what's called a global tax. How are you going to fund the world government? You're going to have a worldwide tax. And for the political Satanists and the archangels, they salivate when they hear the word world tax. Yeah. They salivate. Think how happy they are they could tax you in this local area. If they could tax the world, you know how many billions go in their pocket? They're so happy when they can tax a little county. Yeah, people just have no idea the type of predators you're dealing with. Okay, so that is a nice thing for us, obviously, this man created, and it's a great service. It's a great service to the prepper community. But again, you can see how the guns are in there. Why? Because the gun culture is related to preparedness. Why would you have a gun? Why would you, not just for hunting, you would also have a self-defense gun for what? Self-defense. What are you doing? Preparing for what? Preparing, see? It's connected to preparedness. And so thus it extends beyond that, and that's why you have a very strong, robust prepping culture in America, because you got so many guns here. People still have the little bit of awareness, at least the gun owners do. And that's why people who are in the gun community usually are likely to be preppers and or people who are preparing for, any scenario. Now, you can't be ready for all scenarios, but you can be better prepared for some. Okay? Even the taboo nuclear scenario. This is probably the first time I discussed this, right? In how many years, right? Because even myself, I can see myself not wanting to talk about this stuff. Because it's so cognitively painful to think about. How many people feel some cognitive pain just watching that video, right? You just feel mentally stressed. And that's a normal reaction. But again, you can't be scared of reality because it's painful. And we are in a situation where our brothers and sisters are not all here in Pennsylvania. If they were all here in Pennsylvania, that's one thing. But they're scattered around the world. Right? And we know that also the micro is moving with the macro. So what we do on the micro also helps other people be stimulated. Who knows? Just by what we're doing here, we're already stimulating Hokkaido, Japan, stimulating Japan and Korea to talk about preparedness, make internet videos about talking about these things, which then helps other people who are Christians or conservatives or whoever think about, hey, maybe we have to think about these things a little bit. And then it helps build their communities. Do you see how the micro then gets connected to the macro? We are living in a stage now where Revelation 13 is also coming up too. Because we see also the censorship happening on the internet with conservative voices. Can you believe it? Diamond and Silk, two black African-American Holy Ghost sisters who love Trump. They are being demonetized by the racist Google, racist YouTube elites, racist, arrogant, hateful, vengeful Google executives are racistly banning Diamond and Silk African Americans because they have the wrong view. They demonetize them. That's their living. They make a living off that channel, and they're demonetized because they're black and they hold the wrong view and they're not on the same camp and the plantation. And they dare to speak another rhetoric to the black community. So the black community say, hey, I agree with them. I don't want to be in that. I don't want to listen to that stupid politician anymore. I agree with Diamond Silk. They demonetize them. let alone censoring all the other people like David Knight and Alex Jones and Breitbart and every single one of them, Mike Cernovich, you name it, all these guys, James O'Keefe, Daily Caller, Tucker Carlson, they're banning, censoring these things on the with their algorithms. Purposeful. Then they'll put up stupid crap like the Young Turks, a total Saudi Arabia-funded, Wahhabi-supporting, pretending, posing to be atheist, Chunk Yogurt. His name is Chunk Yogurt or something like that, but they call him Chunk Yogurt, okay? Just to make fun of his Saudi Arabian, Wahhabi-backed rhetoric, defending radical Islam all the time, even though he claims to be an atheist. They have his videos trending up in the front of YouTube. So when you click on YouTube, you get these stupid liberal lunatics views, and you can't get real content from real news outlets that are not part of a propaganda machine to implode sovereignty and to centralize the state. That censorship has already happened. And also SPLC. So what's SPLC? Who knows SPLC? No. Young people, who knows SPLC? You should know SPLC. Okay, you know, I just told you about it. Southern Poverty Law Center. Total propaganda Marxist, George Soros-funded CIA op. And they're touted by the New York Times, Washington Times, Washington Post, NBC, ABC, you name all the propaganda CIA media. As, oh, the human rights activists. They're out there now having Christian organizations like the Family Institute or whatever, Christian Institute, very prominent, was it? Family Research Council. I mean, you're talking about just a Christian organization talking about family values. They're now put on the hate list. That was actually a couple years now. They're now on the hate list. They're now suing the SPLC, obviously. But they were on that hate list, and what happens? They were, because they were on a, quote, hate list by the SPLC, they could not open an Amazon account. So they were prohibited for buying and selling. They had obstructions to their free association of buying and selling things that they want to buy and sell because they had the wrong view. You see that? They didn't believe the state is God and the government should be worshipped. And the Bilderberg groups are good. I don't even know what they're thinking about the Bilderberg group. The point is they had a conservative view, a Christian view, and they're put on a hate watch list by these propaganda organizations. And then they can't buy and sell, just like in Revelation 13. Then they can't even do normal trade because they have the wrong view that doesn't worship the beast. You see this? This kind of thing is not only escalating, it's here. We are living in a serious time, folks. Now look at the difference. This guy's a prepper, okay? I believe he's a prepper, this guy. So you can see, he's trying to say, hey, you should prepare. You. You see, notice his message, right? This guy's like a YouTuber, and I think he's a prepper. He does a lot of videos on prepping and stuff like that. He's trying to just help put out information to the best of his ability. It doesn't mean he's perfect all the time, but he's trying to put out the best information, okay? But you can see what he's doing. He's trying to say, hey, everybody, you should be prepared, right? You. Now watch. The next video I'll show you is a TED Talk from an expert in nuclear science, but look at his conclusion. His conclusion is so different. Now you have to remember, he's part of a government body. So I wonder, what would his conclusion be? You can see how different the conclusion is. This guy is just a normal citizen. Okay? With a nice Australian accent or whatever he has. Who knows? That may be just an actual voice amalgamator, voice changer. You may not even his real voice. Who cares? He's trying to tell normal citizens, hey, in the case of, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but in the case it does, these are things to have and be prepared about. Just think about it. Right? Now, look at when Mr. Government Agent, who also gives some information. He gives information that's valuable. But look at the conclusion. Always, always, always Archangel. Go ahead, play that video. See him? See what he's doing? He's making the point that, oh, it's stateless and you can't retaliate. So if ISIS gets you with a bomb, you don't know who to attack back. You see this? See this? So what is his point? His point is, that's why we need to have the central government get all these nuclear weapons. We have to disarm everybody, even though ISIS never will disarm itself, even though North Korea will never disarm itself. But there's a problem. These people are always making this, these archangels always making this argument. In Cheonilguk, guess what? Everything is local. You have local jurisprudence, local, so local criminal organizations, local, you get whiff of that, peace militias after that person. And they have the power and force to shut that down right away. That's not only happening in one or two places. Anywhere this will be happening, anywhere this is happening, in Cheonilguk, the local area who also has contacts in other local areas that can help and support if they have to. Or they'll have support with other bomb squads, other this or that, experts in that field. They would call them in. Or whatever, with that local situation that's happening. So let's say they're doing it up in, what's that? They got a whole jihadi camp up here in upstate New York someday. I'm not saying they're doing it there, but like nuclear there. But let's say in something, in Cheonilguk, somebody was doing something like that. Okay, well, you have local jurisdiction, your local jurisprudence, and you would have peace, police, militia there, and they would trump the federal orders to give them protection. They would say, no, that's a dangerous threat. We may want to take that out. You see what I mean? So it's not like in every case they have to wage a war on them. They may bring lawsuits against them. They may demand investigation to their facilities. You know what I'm saying? They're obviously human beings, so they're going to do it step by step. But they're going to start clamping down on them wherever they are. So whether they're in Afghanistan, whatever, all those borders will be in Cheonilguk, all under the dominion of God's Constitution. It's the local people will be able to snuff those fools out. And none of those local people are centralized cops, centralized military. You see? So what would happen is in Cheonilguk over generations, you would start eradicating, if there was real dangerous criminals that were doing all those kind of things, and there's capital punishment, you would literally be eliminating the predator class over generation. So the predator class will be eliminated every successive generation. More and more predators of the predator class will be eliminated. Especially if they're doing heinous crimes that require capital punishment. You see what I mean? So then not only do you have an infrastructure where people are operating by conscience and local governments, all that, you would have a situation literally where the predatory genetics are being wiped out. Do you see? And that is how, obviously, you don't deal with nuclear proliferation by centralizing government and giving power to the UN to tax everybody in the world for their new nuclear attacks they're going to do to help fund their activities, really to steal money from everybody. Meanwhile, they allow ISIS to get plutonium. They allow North Korea to get plutonium. They allow Iran to get plutonium. Obama gives them $500,000 in cash to trade for hostages, even though they said you never negotiate with terrorists. He still gave them, he negotiated with them, they gave them $500,000 to release hostages, and then he let them out of prison. You see those Al-Qaeda leaders? I showed you last year, remember that? Obama let out the top Al-Qaeda leaders that were held in Guantanamo Bay. He let them out. He let out the generals. They went right back to Al-Qaeda and now killing more people. I mean, you can't make this up. It's so crazy. It's so insane. Drives me bonkers seeing this every day. Okay? But still, I keep a level head, even though I rant sometimes. Okay? But look, always these government agents, always. Oh, how we deal with it is how we have to take away the weapons. You have to take away the weapons. If you take away the weapons, only the good guys will give the weapons away. Quote, the good guys. And then you have all those predator nations. You've been trying to take away all the nuclear arms from the UN for the last 50 years. And now guess who has tons of nuclear weapons. Exactly the tyrants that we were supposed to take them away from. You see this problem here? Always the archangel is always making this argument. Go ahead. Let's go to the New York blast.
Response. And their retaliation proof. Since there's no real retribution possible that would make any difference, since there are people willing to actually give up their lives
so disarmament is the only way.
A lot of damage to us, it becomes apparent that
you will never be able to disarm the radical groups. Never. They will never give up their weapons. Never. Never.
Many times,
predators will not give up their weapons.
Americans, 2 million of whom should be children. And
they will never give it up. That's their road to power. If they give the weapons, they have no way to get power.
In the 1990s was a good example of homegrown terrorists.
And that's proof with the UN.
Their hands on a nuclear weapon.
Now we only have tyrants with nuclear bombs all over the place.
High-value U.S. targets are accessible, soft, and plentiful. This will be a talk for another day, but the level of preparedness that the United States has achieved since 9/11 of 2001 is unbelievably inadequate. What you saw after Katrina is a very good indicator of how little prepared the United States.
You see what he admits it. He admits it. The U.S. is federal government, which they tell you to believe in and trust in as God, and it will protect you in case of emergency. He's a government employee. He's forced to admit that they're underprepared. Katrina was a total failure. Look at what happened to Harvey. It's the normal citizens, hunters and fishermen who had boats, and they know how to hunt. They have bass fishing boats going around catching people from their houses. Normal citizens. The FEMA is way out there on the water lines. Okay, yes, FEMA does a little bit of stuff, but they're totally underprepared. The citizens had to pitch in. You saw how we showed the pictures on the King's Report. With the fishermen, the normal citizens coming out, driving their boats, trying to pick people up. They're not FEMA agents. That's normal citizens saving the day, not stupid centralized government. Always the archangel lie to you. Go ahead.
Unless we do certain things to really.
That's the problem with the deep state.
Diffuse the risk, like better.
Stop that. That's the problem with the deep state. You have all these passive-aggressive predators in there. When you meet them, they're just like these white guys with nice suits and hey, how you doing? Oh yeah, it's like I hate Trump. They're all passive-aggressive predators. They're all beta male predators. They want to prey on people and they want an easy way to do it. So they choose to go into government to get power and girls. It's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. And he's talking about deep state. The reality, let's jump to the section. Go ahead, jump a little forward. Jump to the section where there's let's get the reality of what this kind of bomb would do to New York City so that we have some context. Go ahead, jump a little bit ahead. Also, what's the best time to attack America? When there is a coup d'etat occurring. When the deep state is literally trying to kill the president and to destroy a duly elected president and overturn all the system of America, which is happening now. Meanwhile, we have a threat of North Korea, etc. Meanwhile, we have a threat of Iran in the Middle East. Meanwhile, we have the threat of civil war and a coup d'etat that is happening right now in these United States of America. And don't forget, the economic collapse is coming. Bad compounding recipe, folks. Very, very bad compounding recipe. Now, I'm gonna save you the stupid conclusion, which is, you have to trust the UN, and we have to have non-proliferation of nuclear weapons, which means give more nuclear weapons to Kim Jong-un. That's what it means. That's what it means. Okay, turn that up. Okay, turn it on. Turn the lights on. There you go. Okay, kids, turn it on. All right, folks. So, there's some context. That would be like a suitcase bomb that went off. That's a smaller than Nagasaki bomb that he's talking about. Now, it's less likely, obviously, that's going to happen in the United States, unless there's a World War III. But again, I'm not only talking to you who are here, I'm talking to people across the world who are watching right now. And some of them are in a very dangerous zone right now. Okay? Some of our brothers and sisters, right now, lives are in great danger. So we know 923 is coming up. We know, remember, what does the scripture say? In the 923 Revelation, there's going to be the serpent, Satan's forces, will try to destroy the woman and, of course, the child and the saints, the faithful. There will be a spiritual war. And, of course, they're trying to start physical wars, too. There's going to be massive, massive battles coming up ahead. Not only our faith is going to be tested, not only our spirit is going to be tested, not only our will is going to be tested, but our preparedness will be tested too. He who has eyes to see, see! Who has ears to hear, hear! Stop taking things for granted. Stop thinking somebody's going to do it for you. You must be responsible and be a safety boat for others who are around you. Not be part of the hordes and masses that are trying to steal from other people once the shmita hit the fan. Then you're likely to get shot. Because we can't see through 50, 100 people trying to get something. I pray the Holy Ghost is convicting you or anybody watching online or across the world. Stop playing around. This is a serious time. They all laughed at us. They all thought, said we're crazy when we told Han Mother that if she does this, there will be destruction. Not only to her and family fraud, but to, of course, Korea and the rest of the world. Of course, Korea will be hit harder. She laughed it off, said I was crazy. The true mother is in Korea. How dare you say anything else? We are in perfect success and victory. What a deluded woman. Traitorous. And arrogant and narcissistic and filled with hubris before God. And you've seen what happened. Look at Korea. Anybody who's in Korea never even imagined that. You were also part of the ones that were cursing the second king at that time. As Koreans. Now your nation is flipped over. No possibility of getting sovereignty. No possibility of bringing Chinese culture. And you are on the verge of nuclear holocaust. Now, I may be talking to you, but you understand I'm talking to Koreans too, okay? These are serious times, folks. Obviously, we'll be on our knees and praying to God, asking Him to give us guidance. The tribulation is here. We cannot stop it, but He can ask guidance. We survive not for the sake of you or your children. There's no guarantee any one of you survive. You may be dead all. We may be all dead after this. They're going to start hunting us. They're going to start trying to behead people who are Christian. They're going to start going after us, censoring everything, trying to force you to go into the cities. I'll allow you not to buy and sell on the internet. You don't think all that's coming if there's wars that break out? How easy they can shut down your life because it's so tied up and addicted to the internet. Don't know how to hunt. Don't know how to secure food. Have not prepared anything. Completely addicted to the Amazon that will get you things in 2 days. Hey, what if that all breaks down? You can't get nothing and the supermarkets are empty. Oh, you're screwed now. Now you're big trouble. Now you say, oh, shish kebab. And how many times I got to tell you, I've been telling you about this last 3 years. We are in serious times. Serious times. We have to survive through this period, not for the sake of survival, because even if we die, we're going to be with Christ in heaven. Amen. But so that the kingdom which is coming has to be inherited. Do you understand? It has to be inherited. It has to be inherited by the sons and daughters of God who stood with the God's kingship when it was the hardest thing to do. And even though your children cursed you and mocked you and laughed at you and said you were crazy, now they're the ones who appear and have been exposed as being the stupid crazies. They've been exposed for being in a cult. They've been exposed for believing what the stupid government teachers told them. They've been exposed for being brainwashed media sluts, making fun of people who actually know the situation was going on and who was actually trying to activate East Asia to step into sovereignty Chinese culture. That's how brain dead and stupid young people are. And are never told they're stupid and brain dead. Obviously, the people here were much more prepared. But think about it. Think about how your mind wants to shut off when we talk about serious things. Think about how it wants to shut off your cognitive dissonance still. You're probably 10 times more awake than a normal person, but still your mind wants to shut off when we talk about serious things. You must be responsible for that. You have to fight that demon that's trying to make you not think about this kind of thing. No one can do it for you. Don't expect other people to do it for you. You will just be a burden to them. You're supposed to be a gift and a blessing to others, not a burden. Don't expect people are just going to take care of you when they have 500 people trying to hoard stuff from them. They're not going to even see you in the crowd. And I'm not speaking to only you here, even though you feel that I'm doing that because you're right in front of me. We're speaking to a whole audience here, okay? Obviously, people who here are way more prepared than most people, but still, many of you are underprepared. And of course, we can't be prepared perfectly for every scenario, but we can be more prepared. I mean, probably most people here, you're probably at least 10 times more prepared than a normal person. At least you have consciousness and you're awake. You actually know the sign of the times that you're living in. instead of these brain-dead lunatics who know nothing. They don't know what planet they're on. They think they're right on a Klingon planet, trying to be some stupid dragon, by having surgery. And these people are crazy, saying that I identify as a dragon. Now, you see these people? I'm serious. Oh, you see, this is a problem of being informed. See, you look crazy when you're informed. There's an actual person. He's tattooed his whole body. He's tattooed reptilian skin. He's got surgery on his ears, cut them off, because he believes he's a dragon. See, this is the insanity that people are in. Meanwhile, they're trying to put transgender sexual agenda, saying you can change your gender on how you feel each day. They're trying to make people delusional and mentally ill, because if you're delusional and mentally ill, you cannot prepare, you cannot see any danger coming towards your way, and you're easy to control. And you can be blown up and say, oh, look at that, that's why, look at all those poor people blown up. We have to centralize more power to the federal government. Always the same thing. But people are so stupid and brain dead and totally brainwashed. They don't even know how to read a book now. They don't even know what a book is. They're reading everything on a stupid tablet. What happens when there's no more tablet energy? What happens if there's no more electric energy? Now you can't play your little games. Now you can't contact people. Your phone is off. All your contact lists have disappeared. Think about it. You probably don't even know your best friend's phone number. Because all you got is their name, you just put their name, and boom, it goes right to the, think about it. You probably can't even remember your best friend, 3, 4 people on your phone contact list where you actually know their actual number. Am I right or am I wrong? See how much of a slave you are to technology? Technology is great, but when it's used for control, it can be very mean. You can get people to do a lot of things if you strip them of their addiction and then say, "Oh, if you do that, I give it to you." Always centralized power, always archangels. Do that! That is the nature of the archangel. So, we're talking about a prepared kingdom. A kingdom that is prepared. We have to think about these things even though they're uncomfortable. Even though you don't want to think about anything of cognitive dissonance. Screw your emotions. It's about reality. About what we are actually facing, what times we are in. We're not in an easy, simple time. It's not going to get better. I told you millions of times. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And you see it happening. It's getting worse, not better. Even though all of you mocked me and laughed at me. Not all, you know what I mean. I'm speaking generally here. Okay. In America, I've always got to qualify everything I say. In Korea, kind of everybody understands, sometimes when I speak, I say, "You all" doesn't mean you all. But I always got to qualify. All right, listen, enough of this government employee. Enough of that guy. Let's be aware of the times we're in, folks. We are now in September. It's not a playtime. Serious, not playtime. You see the stocks tanking now. Okay? You see the economy is getting hurt more and more. As it progresses, it's going to get worse. How many years we've been telling you about what real assets are? How many years we've been trying to tell you about royal culture? How many years we've been trying to tell you about assets? How many years we've been telling you about paper money? How many years we've been telling you about all that kind of stuff? Preparedness, wilderness, survival, all that kind of stuff. How many years? Now, I'm not saying this so you feel bad about yourself. No, forget that. Forget those emotions. You can just start time, and you can start where you can begin. Change your mindset. Know the time you're living in. Stop being lulled back into a sense of security by your iPad and computer. Your little comfort zone. Oh, I feel stressed. Let me go comfort zone of the iPad and iPhone. How pathetic are you? Don't be addicted like that. I was talking to Queen the other day. I said, that's why Chinese culture, people are free. That's why we love going outdoors, because outdoors, no matter where you are, you're not tied to one place. You can always be in the presence of God. Like we're talking about the Han Mother, right? Because she's so tied to that $300 million palace. In a nuclear war, that's going to go up and vaporize him. So tied to a physical location. But see, those in Chinese culture, our father's tradition and culture, we love the outdoors. We love nature. Anywhere you put us, anywhere, we'll be at home. We'll be in our palace. Anywhere. Just not underwater permanently, okay, unless we develop it. We have freedom because we know we're not confounded and bound to the urban cycle and the internet ghetto cycle. We have something greater than those things. Send those things. We have real community. We have honorable people. We have honest people. We have nature all around us to train us. We're not connected to a physical building or some Chunjanggung Palace in Chungpyeong. Drop me out of a plane. We landed in Pennsylvania, and Build new civilization from nothing. You can drop us anywhere. That's the culture mindset. Okay? So be aware of this, folks. We're living in not a playtime. Not a playtime. And if you're Korean, don't call your parents and say, there's a bomb dropping tomorrow, bomb is dropping. Don't freak them out. They're already under tremendous stress over there. They already hear the Sunday sermons and they hear it. They're already listening to Sunday sermons. They're supposed to wait. They hear it now. Then they got these translators translating it. But it's understandable because it's so stressful where they're living in now. And they're fighting the commies on a weekly basis. Please pray for them, folks. We have to pray that the people of God is true. We're not trying to survive this just for survival's sake. We're trying to survive through this because God needs to do His will. It's not about us surviving, it's about God doing His will. And that's why you have to be prepared and responsible. Okay, Yasuas, come on up. In all of this, we have to give God always a praise, that He give us light, He give us wisdom, that He stirs our spirit and convicts us with the Holy Spirit, so that we be stimulated to action and prepare to do His will, to be instruments of His peace for His kingdom that is coming. Do we have a Chunseongyong? Go ahead, start playing that music while we read the Chunseongyong together. Let's read together Chunseongyong. I know very well the feeling of taking risks on the front line, like the time David stood in front of Goliath. It is a feeling of courage and confidence. If I fight 100 wars, I can win 100 wars because God is protecting me. I have actually become this kind of person because I thought all along, if you hit me, it is you rather than I who will be shattered. Just as God raised me like this, I have the responsibility to raise you this way. Let's all rise and give all the glory to our Father.